Are you looking to fine tune? Whether for your business, your job, your team, or yourself. In each episode, we will be discussing different ideas and opinions using real-world examples to help you see opportunities, innovate, and succeed. Hi, it's Corby Fine, and welcome to Fine Tune. A number of years ago, I joined a gym. I found it was difficult to get going, but once I started into the routine, it became habit. Certain things I would still do around the house. I would go outside for a jog. And when it got cold, about 2 years ago, decided to buy a treadmill so that I could continue to run inside in the winter. There are certain things about physically going to a gym that I do like. One, there's the variety of equipment and exercises that you can do. The kinds of things that you'd never do at home simply because you don't have access to the same type of gear. The other is the social component. Being motivated by groups of people all pushing themselves, having the social interaction, seeing people that maybe you don't see on a regular basis outside of your home life and your work life. And so, as it's been about 2 months since I and pretty much all of you have stepped foot inside of any fitness studio, the real question I have is, will we ever step foot again? And if we do, what's it going to look like? What are the differences going forward in how we will think about physical fitness? To help answer that, I've decided to talk to someone in charge of digital for one of the world's largest gym membership chains. So with me today is Jonathan Fagg from Goodlife Fitness. Jonathan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do within the company?
Firstly, Goodlife, we're a chain of health and fitness clubs in Canada. So we, across our 4 brands, we have upwards of 450 clubs, 1.5 million members, and we span every province in Canada. So this is our 45th anniversary, so 41 years old. We celebrated, April's our anniversary. We celebrate our anniversary during the pandemic, which was certainly an odd experience for a fitness club. But yeah, we started in 97.9 in London. So that's Goodlife. And then I probably started my career maybe a little bit differently than most in our industry, and that was as a software engineer. So I was working in the public sector back in my my home country of New Zealand, and I moved to Canada about 9 years ago. Honestly, on a bit of a whim. When you're in your early 20s, you kind of just make decisions, kind of in the click of a finger. And so I kind of came here to Canada with the hope of traveling and kind of looking around, and ended up landing a gig with a consulting firm in the automotive industry. So we're working on product development, digital transformation for the 3 big auto manufacturers here in North America. And then from there, I moved into the fitness industry with Goodlife about 3.5 years ago. So my role within Goodlife is leading our digital strategy, platforms, and products. And then as well as our media partnerships with our aim, which is lofty, but one that we're after, is to become the best combined live and digital fitness company globally.
So my wife was in London, Ontario in the 90s and remembers vividly being a member of, I believe, what might have been the first 3 clubs. Mm-hmm. I think there was a small number for quite some time, and we've both been members. So I'm very familiar personally with the brand, at least the primary brand. And I will say it's been a really interesting transition over the last 2 months when we think about what's going on with regards to fitness overall. And I think as, the coronavirus has hit us, studios, whether small independent niche or obviously, larger chain owned and operated like yourself, have essentially had some pretty fundamental shifts to the business model, shutting doors. Mm-hmm. Stopping automatic billing, which, someone like myself has absolutely noticed when I've got, 3 members in my house, and I'm sure many of my listeners experience that as well. But it came on so suddenly. And I think what's been most interesting to me, and in all the reading and research I've been doing and watching the sort of habits change of my own family, has been that there's been this immediate upswing in creativity and flexibility that many studios are offering, yours included. And the transition from a dependency on what was the physical location and the on-site staff has now started to shift to this digital distribution platform. And whether it's free classes on an Instagram Live platform, whether it's paid classes with more private one-on-one or sort of small group setting coaching, different studios are tackling this very, very differently. But ultimately, they've all started to make some shift to online. I will say, I did actually encounter a woman on my street unloading a spin bike from a van for my neighbor. And upon the conversation happening a little deeper, it turns out that she owned a private spin class studio and was renting out her bikes for $50 a month with delivery until such time as she could open again. And so I now am the proud rental owner of a spin bike in my basement, which has actually gotten my 13-year-old son off the video games every once in a while. So there are benefits to innovation and shifting. But talk to me about what you guys are doing across your brands with regards to, you've closed your doors. In fact, I give a lot of credit to you for proactively doing that, stopping the payments, really taking a very customer first approach. But what have you done in terms of the transition, the launch of new streaming and technology capabilities that has been sort of the first reaction to the pandemic?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for the shout out. I think we're in the personalization business, right? And that's obviously a buzzword in the digital landscape at the moment, but that's our business model, and that's the way we look at it. In that everyone has a different fitness journey that they're on. No two fitness journeys are the same, and so that's essentially what we provide. We provide a very personalized experience for all of our members. Our view on that hasn't changed regardless of a global pandemic. So how we provide those services, the how and the when has changed, but the what hasn't. And I think the focus for us has been on continuing to provide the experience that we provide in the clubs through now, different channels. And I kind of said it at the top. Our goal is to become the best combined live and digital. And it's that combined aspect that really, there's an undertone there of experience driven. And that's kind of been the platform by which we've jumped off on. So thankfully, we're in a place throughout our transformation, our digital transformation, where a lot of these platforms and technologies that we need to do this are in place already. And so we were lucky enough we didn't have to go and purchase new platforms or technology or things like that. We could really use the great base that we had and be able to build from that. So, one of those examples is we've been working on our new mobile fitness app for quite a few months with our partners. And we had to switch directions very quickly. It was originally focused on very club-centric capabilities, being able to check into the club, being able to book your class, being able to get driving directions to a club near you. And that switched very quickly to being able to provide what people needed at home. So exercises, workouts, very structured training plans that people could plan out their day and really support our members just like we do in our clubs now, just through different channels. So I guess if we were to kind of distill it down into a couple of focuses, that was the primary focus. The second one was we also have, a responsibility to support Canada during this time, with our vision being to give everyone the opportunity to live a fit and healthy good life. That again didn't change just because the circumstances changed. And so we felt it was really important to get out there content and workouts and resources and guides that would really help Canada at large to get through the situation. And so that's how we launched Goodlife at Home, which is a free product for anyone to be able to access. And that's been received really well, which is great, because I think we all need to help each other during this time. And so that's the way that we know how to help best.
So I talk to a lot of people in the digital space, both from a service provider and software provider side, as well as from a business operations perspective. And there was this mixed reaction to the question of, were you nervous or excited about the possibilities of the future when you saw such a rapid force hitting you around a need to transform, probably at a faster clip than you had prior? And when I think about your business, and I think about having been a member for many years, having had to your point, a location-centric app on my phone that really played a couple of basic rules for me. One, I didn't have to carry a card because I had my phone, so I could scan in.
Yep.
Two, it had an integration with my watch, which is a Garmin, so that I could actually track the visitation and the amount of time that I was working out. So for a numbers or analytics focused person, there's some interesting utility, but it didn't get much deeper than that. And so, as someone leading the digital evolution of this business, what was your reaction? Were you excited about, oh my God, now I'm going to get the budget and the tools and the attention at the corporate level to really move fast and speedy? Or were you a little nervous about, oh my God, but how am I going to fund that if there's some fundamental changes in the business model?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think, I'll play the fence and say it's definitely a bit of both. I would say I was excited by the opportunity that was placed in front of us. I think everyone in a digital role is always looking for, that next challenge, or gets excited by, potentially a new customer segment that they have to solve for, or, a new opportunity that they see come to market. That's part of us as we are in a digital landscape. So that was exciting. I think, thankfully, like I kind of talked about previously, we were in a place where a lot of the work had already been done on our digital transformation to get to where we were. So we had to speed up a lot of things for sure to get those to market quickly because of the times that changed. But we were very lucky that we had planned a lot of this work previously, just through our platform evolution and through our digital strategy. So one of the things we have seen though is that the pandemic has forced people to embrace that technology in our industry more than ever. So, as an example, last week we hosted Canada's biggest Zumba class through a Zoom meeting. So we had 1,000 people all doing Zumba in their various rooms in their house, all being able to see each other and interact with each other, which was an incredible experience to watch and capture. And what we learned from that is the demographic is much more dispersed than what we would see usually in a digital space, which obviously usually for most industries skews younger. So having to solve for those those other demographics that traditionally wouldn't be using our digital products as much as they would, that was a challenge. It's not something that we have ever had to solve for in the past, or at least not put a lot of time into. And so those digital platforms for us are becoming really close now to mirroring what we would see in the club, which is exciting because it means that I talked about experience-driven fitness, and we know how to do that. We've been doing that for such a long time, and so bringing that into the digital space is really what provides value. Provides some validation that what we're doing is accessible for all of our members, which is obviously great. The other part is the nervous piece because our industry has been really heavily impacted. It's all gyms around the world have had to shut down for obvious reasons. How we recover from that as an industry is going to be a case study in patience and adversity. Some of the latest news out of the Netherlands actually is that they just announced yesterday that they won't be reopening their clubs until September. So that makes a lot of people nervous, and so. Again, how we solve for that moving forward is going to be it's going to take everyone to bring their A game.
So you've talked a little bit about some of what those capabilities are. You mentioned Goodlife at home. You talked about empowering Canada's largest Zumba class on Zoom, which has a bit of a paradox in the naming convention. Nothing that we did, but hey, it works. So maybe tell my audience what are one or two of the key new features and capabilities that are coming. Give us a sneak preview of maybe the next evolution in what digital fitness transformation looks like.
There's a few things that we had planned for those digital platforms that we haven't been able to use yet, that I think we're excited to get out there. So a big one is centered around being able to book your group fitness class, being able to book the spot. Hopefully in the near future, very much like we are able to book your individual bike or your individual spot on the floor, being able to access the club through a secure method. So our previous app allowed you to do that with a barcode, but the new version is a lot more secure and has a revolving system so that the QR code is unique to each individual person over a period of time. So the security on it is a lot higher. The evolution of that is being able to manage a lot of the aspects of your membership that usually you would have to either do, through calling our member experience department or visiting the club to do. So providing those self-serve options through our digital products is really where we plan to take this, as well as providing the next evolution of our content distribution. So being able to access workouts and exercises through the mobile app. And then the last piece, being able to purchase or make mobile payments as well. So it's really, the goal in, and I've said it multiple times, but I'll say it again, in being able to provide that combined live and digital, the value there is really feature parity. And so anything that you should be able to do in the club, or anything that you should be able to do through speaking to an associate, should be able to provide the same ease of use through our digital products.
Yeah, I think as more consumers get used to this working from home and working out from home model, the long-term implications are, somewhat obvious, but there's probably some hidden gems. And I think the last kind of feature set that you mentioned, including one leveraging a digital relationship with your customer, even to enable things like purchases, the experience I've gone through renting a bike at home, you can start to envision and forecast a different kind of relationship between a member and a club. And whether that's partly going in, partly working out from home, having access, though, to your point around secured messaging to the individual trainer or group of trainers who might be helping an individual achieve their fitness goals and results. There's all kinds of things that I could start to think of, and I'm sure you guys are in the planning. What do you think about the footprint, though, of the physical gym? And how do you see that changing over the next little while? Are they more niche? Are they the same size and square footage with less people, as we're starting to see some of the potential conversations of mandates from government coming out around the number of people that'll be able to integrate with each other? Anything you guys are talking about that might give us a bit of a foreshadow into that?
Well, the first thing it does is it completely shifts the view for what our member is. A member in the very near future could be someone that doesn't even interact with us physically, which is something that, for clubs like ourselves is never really something we've talked about, at least not at length. So, now more than ever, our members crave experience, they crave personalization given the current context. So our industry as a whole is going to have to be really focused on providing a great experience in the clubs and focus on what those services are. So with such a large spike in digital adoption, that intersection between what is physical and what is digital is going to become really important. It's really taking what we've learned in the media world. Corby, I know you come from a media background, and something that I'm responsible for at Goodlife, and the connection between the offline and online is a constant challenge that we all face. And so this is, the way I look at it is it's just the next evolution of that, and how we combine those into something that spans multiple platforms, multiple devices, multiple locations is going to be an interesting study to watch over the next little bit. Not only because of how our industry's evolved, but also just given the current context. One thing we are following closely is what this will do to exercise adherence. If you're used to working out at home on days when you can't make it to the gym, so pretty much everyone right now, our thought is that we'll see a greater adherence, and that barrier of working out from home or on the road or for those traveling has lowered considerably. And it's now part of our members' day-to-day activities, right? People are now used to working out from home. So, our vision is that continues, and that there'll always be a place for the bricks and mortar club and coming in and doing your workout in a location and having the social aspect of working out with your friends or doing a group fitness class. But how we combine those two and how we offer, a really diverse experience for each person and how they want to interact with us is where we're going.
That's a great segue into what I think my last kind of point will be. So I personally can see myself being that new sort of split-focused consumer where I'm becoming a bit better at self-managing the sort of notion that I have to work out at home because I can't get to the gym. But instead of it being because of kids or a snowstorm or time constraints, it's because they're just closed. and they will open up. And when they open up, there are certain things that someone like myself relishes in, which is diversity of equipment, sometimes the motivational factor of other people around me, sort of by, direct or indirect outcomes pushing me to be better and do better. You kind of look over your shoulder. It's like, man, I wish I could go that fast. And then you push it up a few. But there are, and I'll use two competitors' names to kind of talk about the opposite end. On one hand, you've got, let's say, Peloton, who, as you've seen with their share price and their growth and consumption of their app by giving it away for 90 days, has seen massive growth built on the notion that this, do-it-yourself at-home model through digital channel connectivity is the future. On the other hand, you've got a very, very fast upcoming gym, which is F45. In fact, one was supposed to open the beginning of February, literally at the end of my street, and I had this high intent to try it. But that membership and that gym model is very, very, very structured, in my opinion, around like being there because of the equipment and the diversity of the workout. And I'm not sure that everyone could do that at home because of the need for all that kinds of equipment. So there's a big split. And I think where you guys have a huge opportunity is, to your point, you're kind of down the middle. And you are an organization that's probably very well set up to maintain what you called that new definition of a member, of which some will be fully physical, some will be a hybrid, and some, to your point, which you've never had before, might be a touchless customer that you never, ever, ever have stepped foot inside one of your 450 club locations. Mm-hmm. So when I think about that, if I were to say, hey, you're the CEO, you're Patch, you're moving forward, you've got the next 1 or 2 or 3 key decisions to make, how do you see yourselves capitalizing on being that middle spread? There are always going to be people that rely 100% on physical. There are always going to be people that rely on 100% distributed and will never in their lives set foot in a gym for umpteen reasons. But you've got this huge opportunity. So you're the CEO for a day. What's next on the roadmap?
That's a tough question. Our CEO and founder, Patch, obviously started Goodlife 41 years ago, and he had a tiny little club in London, Ontario, and has built to what we are today. So he's definitely someone I look up to from a leadership and business perspective, but also just, an expert in our industry who's been heavily involved in it for so long. And I think, I think our industry is kind of seeing this, what I like to call our second wave of disruption. So the first wave being, the pure digitization of fitness. You had competitors, just like you spoke about, Peloton, and other providers that were giving a pure digital membership. The second wave that we're kind of moving into now sort of starts blurring the lines between digital and equipment. So, another 2 big players in that space are companies called Tonal and Mirror, which provide kind of wall-mounted gym solutions in your home and then give you access to digital content and personal training services.
I secretly watch those commercials and go, man, that would be cool. But what kind of mounting stud weight on my wall do I need? And where the heck would I put it in an urban 25-foot wide home?
I mean, I'm sure you've seen the spoofs on Twitter of the Peloton ads. I imagine there'll be something similar for these two. And it's a great question, right? I think, it's definitely a very interesting product and a very interesting way to take our industry. But the practical questions start coming up pretty quick as well. But I will say, I think, there's always going to be a place for the bricks and mortar clubs with specialized equipment, live classes. There's that social interaction that you don't get through a digital subscription. Through our digital products and services, it's a great way to introduce members to new programming, or to work out options that they can try in the comfort of their own home, or at least think about and learn about before they make their way into the club. And while this pandemic has closed down a lot of our in-person interactions and pushed business online for all industries, I think people more than ever, are really craving that one-to-one interaction, that human touch. And so the more people have something in front of them, the more they want to do it. So the more that they can see what they can do, the more that they'll be able to then step foot into a club and do the same thing, in a much more social and much more interactive setting. So I don't think this is going to lead I don't think this is going to impact the consumer's want for physical interactions. I think this is going to likely increase it, and that goes for all verticals. If we were to distill it down into one decision or one direction, it would be, with our industry evolving and changing so quickly, the two waves of disruption I talk about have happened in a number of, single digit years kind of thing. It's that constant investment in digital transformation, which by the way, in my opinion, never stops. There isn't a day where we all sit down and crack a beer and high five each other and say, okay, good, we're done transforming. Good job. What's the next thing we're going to do? We need to have the capability, the technology, the platforms to adapt, almost instantly at this point. And if you were to look up the angel list of startups in the fitness category, we're almost breaching 4,000 startups last time I checked, which was a few days ago. So that rate of growth and disruption in our industry is going to just keep climbing. And we've all seen and read the articles that the last time we had an economic depression, it birthed these fantastic digital organizations, Airbnb, Uber, and that sort of stuff. And we would be silly to think that that's not going to happen again. So we've never been afraid to try something as a company or test something out, and Patch, being a kind of a serial entrepreneur, has driven that. So for us to continue with that, especially in this time, is going to be really important for us.
Those are some really great points. And I, for one, am someone who is aligned to the notion that everything can always be made better, so that your point around there's no termination point of, hey, we've transformed. It's continual evolution. It's always testing. It's always trying. And maybe we need to move from digital transformation to, perpetual digital evolution, because really that's all we're doing. We're consistently evolving, whether it's fitness or any other industry. I also like your tip, watch Angel List. And it's a good tip for anyone in any industry to see what is the competitive and startup activity in your space, which says you're in a hot zone. You're in a zone where people want to get in. And what are you going to do to get ahead of it so that you don't get your shoes essentially taken out from under you by startups and other organizations that might be a little more nimble at adapting to market changes. So a couple quick, personal questions to wrap this up. How have you been at your own fitness compliance and self-regulating?
You know what? It's been a challenge. I'll call it what it is. I think now more than ever, and something I've been stressing to our team is that, we need to take our own advice. We're telling all of our members, and we're telling Canada, that now more than ever, you have to look after yourself, both physically and mentally, and we need to do the same. So, the weather, as we sit here and chat, Corby, it's snowing in London, Ontario. So for the early May, that's definitely a disappointment. So yeah, so I'm doing what I can. I think I'm a runner and biker. I've just taken my bike off my indoor trainer, so hopefully that can get out in a few days. But yeah, I've been trying to spend a lot of time outside. I think the fresh air is done everyone wonders. So that's been my routine for the last couple months.
So your absolute favorite way to stay fit, what is it?
It's definitely biking. In our clubs, I'm a huge fan of our spin classes and RPM, and then during the summer months, getting out on my bike. I'm where we live is sort of North London, so we have access to a lot of great backcountry roads that I can bike forever on. And then in the winter, I put it up on a trainer in my office, and usually jump on Zwift and kind of virtually exercise with my friends and colleagues.
And what's the one form of exercise that you do because you know you need to, but you absolutely dread?
I've never been great at proper stretching. I've never been good at preparing myself for exercise that I do. I've always been the kind of person that just, I throw on my shoes and I go for a run. And then I wonder the next day why I hurt so much.
That's great. And so with me today has been Jonathan Fagg, the head of digital and media for Goodlife Fitness, giving us some, really great insights into the transformation, not just today, but for the future of the fitness industry. Obviously, I'm a fan, I'm a member, and I'd like to personally, say thank you for the way in which Goodlife has responded to the current situation, as we talked about earlier. And I really appreciate you sharing some of your thoughts and insights on the future and evolution of fitness for myself and my audience.
Yeah, thanks, Corby, and thanks for having me on today. I really enjoyed it.
That's great, and enjoy the May snow in in London, Ontario.
Hopefully, it only lasts a couple more minutes. Otherwise, they'll who knows what
Well,
we're gonna do.
otherwise, your bike's going back on the train.
That's right. It sure is. Yeah.
All right. Have a great day, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
You've been listening to Fine Tune. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can connect with me on Twitter @CFine, through LinkedIn @CorbyFine, or visit my website, corbyfine.com. Fine Tune is produced by me, Corby Fine. Thanks for listening.